Hey guys, it's Mika from Probocolic, and today I will be reviewing Tiny Pretty Things by Sonak Patra and Daniel Clayton. I read this book the last few days, and I'm so proud of myself because I'm finally getting out of my reading slump. For the last 3 weeks, I was not able to complete any books, and this is actually the first book that I have read in the month of February, which means it is pretty good. So in today's video, I'll first tell you a little bit about the characters and the premise and my general opinion, and then I'll move on to some spoilery stuff as what happens in the end and my predictions for the next book. This is a contemporary YA which so focus is on ballet and ballerinas and dance. For me personally, this is the first book that I'm reading on this topic, so it was original in that sense, and I really enjoyed it because we have trio point of view. We see from three different girls that are all in the conservatory of dance, and we see how each of them deal with dancing and with the pressure that comes with being a professional dancer in their own way, and how when we put labels on people, they are not always the right ones. So we have three main characters, as I mentioned. The first one is Gigi, or Giselle. She comes from California and she moved to the conservatory in order to dance. She feels like she doesn't belong there in the beginning because she's the only black girl in the whole conservatory except for one other girl who is, I think, 11 or 12. And she doesn't have any friends and she just isn't sure of herself. Although Gigi is an amazing dancer and she's an amazing ballerina, you see that the pressure that comes with competition and with getting the best parts, as you see later on in the novel, does get to her, and she deals with it by trying to be optimistic and looking at the bright side. The second character is Beth, who has been in the conservatory for her whole life. She has always tried to be the best and she has succeeded. Her older sister Adele is a prima ballerina and is a legacy, so therefore she tries to show them that she is as good as her sister and maybe even better. She has a very demanding alcoholic mother who was physically and psychologically abusing her when she was younger because she's just crazy. And we see that Beth is dealing with the pressure of dancing by bullying other people because she feels as though she could be pushed out of the top, especially from someone as good as Gigi. And then the third character is June, who is half Korean. So June's mother gave up dancing with no apparent reason. June doesn't know who her father is, and she has always been told she needs to be better, she needs to do better, and that has driven her to being anorexic and bulimic. She always tries to cover up her underweight by drinking more water or putting coins into her Leo, and in her case we see that ballet is making her unhealthy and really really skinny and that sort of thing. So Tiny Pretty Things is about these three girls, about their friends and about their families, and how something as beautiful and as mesmerizing as ballet can have so many side effects and can change your life forever. All the girls here are fighting with their nails and with everything they've got in their arsenal in order to get the lead roles in the two plays that they put on every year, because if they do well they could have a spot in the company, which is an amazing thing because there aren't many organizations that nowadays deal with ballet and ballerinas. So the competition is huge, the pressure is huge, and we see how people change and how they cave and alter under this pressure. I think that this book is definitely something really interesting because, as I said, we often give people labels without actually knowing the whole story. For example, Beth is actually my favorite character in this book because she is this stereotypically mean type of girl who puts other people down in order to feel good about herself. But what most people don't get is that she is this way because she lives in the shadow of her older sister. She lives with her mom, who actually doesn't really care about her, and she has never had a stable environment, and that is why she's doing the things she has been doing. And during the year, there are a lot of pranks that are done on Gigi or on other people, and everyone blames Beth all the time. And I just felt so horrible for her, because even though she could have done them, and maybe even if she has done some of them, just putting the blame on one person because he seems or she seems capable of doing those stuff, it made me think about how we as people may make up our minds and just stick to what we know. If someone is bad, then if something bad happens, definitely that person has done this horrible thing. I thought that this book was very well written, and the voices of the three main characters were very distinct, which I enjoyed. So I gave this book 4.25 out of 5 stars, and I definitely recommend it. This is all I can say without spoiling anything. If you love something that is just breathtaking and is very fast paced and has a very unique scent to it, you definitely enjoy this. And if you've read this book, you're more than welcome to stay for the spoilery part, but if you haven't, please go read this book and then come back so that we can discuss it. Bye! So, as I said, Beth is my favorite character, and I just thought that her story was the most gripping for me, because from the beginning we saw her with Alec, and she actually loved him more than she loved herself. She depended so much on him and her two best friends, and in the end she had no one. Her story was so tragic because she lost everything. Even Gigi, who got in the car accident, still had more things in the end than she had in the beginning. For Beth, she lost her best friend Liz to anorexia, and Liz started blaming her for outing her and her weight, which is ridiculous because, I mean, it is obvious when someone is not eating and is losing weight. Then she lost her friend Eleanor throughout the book, and I honestly think that we don't give Eleanor enough credit. I believe that her secret is that she was sleeping with Mr. K, and that actually explains her secret messages and why in the end, when Beth told her that maybe Gigi's sleeping with Mr. K, Eleanor acted so surprised and was so outraged. Then she lost Alec to Gigi, and I'll go over that in Gigi's part, but I just felt so sad for her because she really loved him, and yes, she did some mistakes. The only things that she actually did to Gigi was write that message on the mirrors with her lipstick and send her a letter of how much Alec and Beth loved each other. I don't even think that is anything compared to the other things that were done to Gigi, but everything got blamed on Beth, which I found so depressing. In the end, she lost her rose. In the end, she was actually blamed for pushing Gigi in front of the cab, and I am 99% sure she did not do it. Why am I so sure? Because I believe that Henry, or Henry, whatever you pronounce his name, and Cassie were behind all of it, and I hope that in the second book, Beth's name gets cleared out, because she is a really good ballerina, and I just thought that the things that she went through were not fair. As I said, I thought that Beth was the victim of the story because from the beginning, Gigi comes in the school and she wants Alec for herself. She's very optimistic and very nice to everyone, but the thing that annoys me is that she wanted Alec from the very beginning, and yes, she got him and so on and so forth, but wanting someone else's boyfriend is just not something that I root for. She is a nice person, I have to admit that, but in the end she wanted to make Beth pay, even though she doesn't know if Beth is actually responsible for these things. I hope that Beth gets better and she goes back to ballet, but I just hope that she realizes that not everyone is the way you label them, and that she's actually able to be friends with Beth, because I think that together they could be unstoppable. About June, I just thought that her realizing Alec was her brother was kind of obvious to me. From the moment that she realized her father was a a dancer, and we already knew that Alex's father had been having affairs. I pieced it up together and I figured out that it would be Mr. Lucas, who is her father. I felt so bad for her when her dad never actually talked to her, and he never paid any attention to her whatsoever when she has been in the same building as him for the last 7-8 years. In the end, when she did an amazing job of dancing as the role lead, no one paid any attention to her, even though she tried so hard, even though she literally had to vomit everything she ate for months and months in order to be skinny enough. And in the end, Cassie came up and everyone forgot about her. I felt so bad about her and about what she was going through. I hope that in the next book she gets the attention that she deserves, because she's definitely an amazing dancer and she deserves to be seen. So in conclusion, I thought that the writing was really interesting. I thought that the characters were all unique and showed their own view on ballet and dancing and life. Gives Beth the opportunity to show that she's innocent. It allows Gigi to get better, and it allows June to shine and to show how amazing she is. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed this book and getting out of my reading slump.